Through your eyes. Growing up, I was a pretty sheltered child. I was at everything, not knowing how the less fortunate fared. My father owned a big construction company, and my mother left when I was young. I hated her, even though I didn't know her. Feeling jealous of my peers with their mothers. I had an older brother who I wasn't close to. My father trusted him and was training him to run the company one day. When I was a few months shy of turning 25, my father passed away from kidney failure. It was a difficult time, but I had the support of my girlfriend, Savanah. Savanah had come into my life when I was drinking and abusing substances, pretty much feeling lost. We met when she let me hide in her house when the police were looking for me. I had some stuff on me that I was not supposed to have. She had flushed it down the toilet, angering me, but I had her to thank for me getting my life together. Savanah had a much more difficult life than me, having to take care of her 4-year-old brother. She refused to say anything about her dad, but her mother had passed away. From the day that I met Savanah, I would go to her place and just talk about stuff when I was feeling depressed. Eventually, I became a better person. While my brother didn't like her, I think it just had to do with his prejudice towards those less fortunate. Mark used to be my best friend when we were kids. We even had a secret code we used to communicate while playing. But now, I didn't trust him. My father trusted her, even giving her a job at his company. He was the one who came to me with the idea that I should start dating Savanah. I didn't think of her in that way, but she was kind and genuine. Even though I had money, she never used me for it. She was what I needed in my life to be a better person. In the space of that year, I became a better person and focused on my job at my father's company. I had a friend named Jordan, whom I knew on a surface level. Jordan had been openly gay for some time now and was just starting to date. He hung out with me a lot, but that didn't make Savanah happy. To be honest, both of them were constantly competing to make me happy, but couldn't stay in the same room with each other. Jordan thought that she was not acting nice, but she had an ulterior motive. She, on the other hand, thought that he was in love with me. When my father passed away, I didn't want to be anyone. I did not want to be around anyone but Jordan, which upset Savanah and led to us fighting. Sometimes, I think that you love him more than me, she said. That is not the case, babe. It's fine. Maybe you do love me after all. You missed my birthday, she said. I felt really bad and wanted to make it up to her, so I started planning a big birthday party for her. I also gave her a credit card to buy her anything she wanted. But that was the least of my troubles, because before the party started, Jordan came to me and said that he loved me. I was freaked out and did not know what to say because I just saw him as a friend. Unfortunately, she overheard him and told him to stay away from me. She was a bit overprotective of me. She had been ever since we met, so it was not unnatural for the lioness in her to come out. He told her to mind her own business and that I could be friends with who I wanted. Then he asked me to choose between the both of them. I had known Jordan for a while, but Savanah always knew what was best for me. And I couldn't love him in the way that he wanted. I didn't even know that much about him, even though we were close. I told him to leave and we would talk later. He was upset and told me that I would remember this day. The rest of the party was fine, but I kept on replaying that conversation. My brother kept asking me what was going on, and I told him to stay out of it. We were not close, and he was looking for another opportunity to rile me up. I decided that I needed to go for a drive, and then I would come back and drop Savanah at home. I had drunk a little bit, but there was not much left in my system. One minute, I was driving on the road, when suddenly, a car came from nowhere and slammed into me. My head hit the dashboard, and I felt a searing pain in my head. I woke up the next morning in the hospital, but everything was blurry. I blinked many times, but everything was just blurry. My girlfriend came next to me, crying. When I told her that I couldn't see, she called the doctor immediately. It seemed that the vision loss was temporary and that I would be fine within a week. I just had to take care of myself. I was asked to give a statement to the police, and I told them that someone purposefully ran into me. Mr. Williams, the lead investigator, said that he was going to find out who did that, and there was a chance that that person wanted to hurt me. My girlfriend reminded me of how angry Jordan had been the whole time that he left, as well as the thinly veiled threat he uttered before leaving. I seriously doubted that it was him, so I told them not to arrest him. My brother had hired a nurse, and Savanah was staying at my house for the rest of the week. I was sleeping in the middle of the afternoon. Not even glasses could help me see. So all I did was listen to music and take pills. I also slept most of the time. It was when I was sleeping that I heard a loud thump in the next room. I instinctively got up, somehow finding my way to the door. My sight must have been bad, but my hearing was very good. I followed the sound of Savanah screaming at someone. I knocked on the door and asked who it was. She was speaking to a man. I kept on knocking and demanding that she open the door. Just then, she screamed, and I felt the door hit me. Someone grabbed me, and the next thing I knew, I was rolling downstairs. I saw a white light, and then everything went black. The next time that I woke up, I was in the hospital once again. I vaguely heard Savanah explaining something to the police. I opened my eyes, and all I saw was darkness, with flashes of light peeking through. I screamed for the doctor. I tried to get up, but I found that I was restrained. I screamed for Savanah, and she came to me immediately. Thank goodness that you are awake. Savanah, I can't see anything. I thought the doctor said it was temporary. I was so close to seeing again. What is this? I was hysterical at this point, so it turned out that when I had my accident, something damaged my nerves. I was going to be okay, but the man pushed me, and I had landed in such a way that I was now completely blind. They didn't think I would be able to see again. To top it off, Savanah said that the man was Jordan. He had been trying to harm her, and now I had no choice but to lay charges against him. My friend, who I trusted, was now trying to kill me, or so it seemed. I felt so much betrayal and anger. The officer who was investigating made a vague comment about how my family really knew how to provoke people. Savanah warned him not to make such comments, or we would make a complaint. It was not unusual. My father was not a man who was loved by many people. Now, to make things worse, this was the time that my lawyer had to call me and my brother to discuss my father's will. My girlfriend came with me, as I did not trust my brother or the lawyer to give me accurate info. It was funny how easy it was for people to take advantage of you when you couldn't see. Just a week ago, Savanah caught my nurse stealing an expensive watch from me. Either way, I found out that I would get money once my trust paid out on my birthday. Then, something strange happened to me while I was visiting the doctor. I was in the waiting room, and I was a bit lost in my thoughts. Suddenly, I felt a presence beside me. Who's there? You should stop feeling sorry for yourself. How will you get better? I heard a man say. Who are you? What do you want? I asked. How did you become blind? He asked again. Dude, you're creeping me out. Just leave me to feel sorry for myself, okay? I couldn't help but responding harshly. Here, take this. To prevent infection, my grandmother used it when she lost her sight, he said. My girlfriend's taking care of me. I don't need this. Is that why she put mismatched socks on you? He asked. I was lost for words then, but I took his ointment. To be honest, Savanah was not that great at taking care of me. She had her brother to take care of too, and I was often left feeling lonely. It had been so long since I talked to someone. I apologized, and we talked for a few minutes while we waited for her. Then I heard her voice. Babe, I made a new friend, I said. There's no one here, she said. I didn't meet the stranger again until a few years later when I went to the hospital. They were doing all they could to save my deteriorating sight. I had scans, meditation, and I was giving up. I was ready to accept that I was blind. I asked a nurse again to take me outside to the fountain, while Savanah was discussing something with the doctor. That familiar voice spoke to me again. I couldn't help feeling comfortable with him. He told me not to feel sorry for myself, but to try my hardest to make use of the senses that I still had. I found myself telling him everything about my life. and the more we met, the more we became friends. He still gave me the ointment, which was helping me. I was getting less irritation in my eyes, and sometimes I could see little shadows. I ended up getting his number. Thanks to accessibility, I could use my phone. I spoke to this guy about random things, and during that time, I withdrew from Savanah. She was always trying to feed me medication and get me to sleep all the time. I felt like she was staying with me out of duty. One day, I was feeling depressed. My phone had told me that the weather was great. I asked her to take me to the park. She made an excuse about having to take care of her brother. Just then, I thought to call my new friend, who was named Luke. Then, he took me to the park. It was so nice to be outside at that time. I felt less sad. That was the day I opened up to him about how I felt about my mom leaving. He offered me comfort and support, which warmed my heart. In the meantime, the investigation into finding Jordan was going slow. They had no idea where he was. I was losing hope, and I pretty much resigned to spending the rest of my life blind. So I decided to break up with Savanah so that she could be free to find someone else. I didn't want her to be tied down to me all the time. She was giving up a lot to be with me. Then she was surprised, telling me some good news. She found a doctor who could do eye surgery to make me see again. I asked if it was an eye transplant, but she said no. He was going to fix my nerves. I'd honestly never heard of that, so I was skeptical. But after speaking to my brother, he said that maybe it would be a good idea. Because of excitement, I called Luke to tell him that my girlfriend found a way to help me. But I couldn't help but feeling like I didn't want her to be with me anymore, even though she insisted that she wanted to stay and help me out. There was no spark between us, there never was. I was starting to doubt my feelings toward her. Luke advised me to properly check out the surgeon. He didn't think it was wise for me to just sign anything, nor did he trust that Savanah had good intentions. And there was also another factor. Surgery cost a lot of money, like 75% of my trust fund. If I had it, I would be pretty much broke after that. I'd probably have to work for my brother to make ends meet for the rest of my life, because it would not sustain me. But this was the only chance I had to see. So then, I decided to take a chance and do the surgery. It had a higher chance of succeeding than the way my doctors had failed to restore my eyesight. However, on the day that she was going to bring the papers, Luke tried to call me. When I called him back, I could barely hear anything that he was saying. I was waiting for the funds to be cleared, and Savanah was with me. My birthday had been a few days before. "I'm so happy, babe. This is going to change everything." She sounded excited. "Me too. I'll get to see." I smiled. Yeah. "And you know that your father always wished for us to marry?" she said. I frowned. I didn't think that I wanted to marry her. She had been loyal, but I didn't know what to say about it. But I was having doubts about her. Just then, there was a loud knock on the door. She ran while I was still speaking to her. I heard her arguing with someone and threatening to call the police. "Henry, do not sign those papers." It was Luke. "Jordan, what are you doing here? The police are looking for you," she said. "What? Where's Jordan?" I asked. "The person you think is Luke, he's Jordan." "Can't be. You've seen Luke before." "Yeah, he sounded familiar. Now that he's out of his disguise, I can see that it's the man who caused your accident," she said. Now that she said it, I couldn't believe that I didn't recognize his voice. "Stop lying. You're the one who did it. You've been trying to steal money from him. I'm trying to help him out," Jordan, Luke said. I didn't know who to believe. I'd come to trust Luke, but the way things had been between us when he was calling himself Jordan... Look, it's true that I fell for Henry, but I'm not the one trying to steal his trust fund from him. It's you, he said. "I would never do that. You're being ridiculous," she laughed. "Dr. Bladel does not exist. I've been taping your phone for a while, Rebecca." "Stop lying and trying to be Savanah," he said. "Who the hell is Rebecca?" I asked. I wish that I could be able to see now. Someone opened the door, and I assumed it was my lawyer walking in with the contract. "Good, now you can sign. You may leave, sir," she said, and then she started rushing me. But Jordan said, "You're the lawyer, right? Can I see the papers?" I heard papers being snatched. "She's trying to transfer your fund to herself. This money isn't going to any doctor," he said. But I just talked to him on the phone, I protested. Sign the papers, babe. She coaxed me. No, I want to hear what he has to say. I spoke up against her for the first time in my life. You will do as I say, or you will lose your brother, she said. What are you talking about? I asked. We have Mark. Who is we? Me and my father's, Mr. Williams, the detective. They had set me up. Then I heard the sounds of struggling. Someone screamed and everything was quiet. Rebecca, what's going on? I asked. I'm taking what is rightfully mine. Your father took my mother's life, and I have been struggling all my life because of your family, she said. And then, like any typical villain, she explained everything to me. And I was shaken. Her mother used to work for my father's company. He signed off on the construction of a building with no proper inspection. While she was working for him, the building collapsed and she became crippled. She killed herself after that. The company covered it up, making it look like an accident, but they never paid out anything to her family. She and her father moved away, and she'd been planning this for ages. She wanted to take me from my dad, but he died before he could go through with the plan. So now she was going to take my money. I was nauseated as I thought of what my father did. I apologized, but she didn't want to hear it. She needed me to sign the papers, and then she would let my brother go. I agreed, but said that I had to talk to my brother first. It was true, she did have him. When I talked to Mark, he used our secret code to communicate. He told me that he was being held at her father's place, and at least that was what I could tell. It had been a while since I got along with my brother, but now I wanted him back, to make peace. As soon as the call ended, I swung blindly at her and shouted for Jordan to call the police. Suddenly, I felt something like a gun digging into my stomach. Then, she shouted, got off me, and started running after Jordan. I think I heard a gunshot, and then the door closing. I called for the lawyer but got no response. I fumbled outside and managed to get to the source of the commotion, and I could hear many people talking. The police had arrived. After that, they restrained her, and thanks to my tip-off, the police managed to find my brother. She and Jordan had fought over the gun. That was when it went off, shooting the lawyer in the leg. He had been helping her with the plan all along. They managed to rescue my brother, who had been kidnapped by her father. It turned out they had been investigating those two for scamming for several years. Fortunately, it wasn't a lie that my father's company caused her mother's death. There was an investigation being done, with Rebecca/Savanah being in jail, along with her father, who had been purposefully trying to frame Jordan, Mika. Her little brother was left alone. The poor boy was innocent, didn't know anything at all about it. Jordan? Well, turns out that one of his secrets was that he used to be in the Marine. But he never told me because it was part of his past that he wanted to forget. When he got accused of trying to kill me, he didn't run away because he suspected that Rebecca would be the one doing it. He disguised himself and befriended me to keep an eye on me, but also to gain access to my life so he could see what she was up to. He had saved my life, and I felt like I had owned him. He saved my life, and I felt like I owed him. But was any of it real? I asked. It was. I know I've not always been open, but I did want to be there for you, he said. Thank you, Jordan. You could have abandoned me after the way I treated you. But you didn't, I said. That's what friends are for. I felt him squeeze my hand. But you need to fix things with your brother, he said. He was right. I had been angry with him for far too long. I asked him if he could please call him for me. He came to me and we talked it out. The reason we didn't get along was because he knew that Mom wanted to leave. But he didn't tell me. My father was the one who told me. I was tired of holding grudges. We made up, but it would take a while to fix things. And as if by a miracle, when I went to the doctor again, he told me that my nerves seemed to be miraculously regenerating. And I think it had to do with the ointment that Jordan had given me. Over the months, I regained parts of my vision, but I would never see fully again. It was still enough. I would take the little I could. It was also during these months that Jordan and I had moved in together and adopted Mika. I felt guilty about what my dad did and wanted to do something right for him. We were sort of co-parenting, but not together. We became a real family, exchanging beautiful moments together. My feelings for Jordan grew each day, but I was shy. I also didn't think he would want to be with me. There were a few moments of flirtation, and one time when I thought I saw a pink flush on his cheeks, but that was probably my eyes. They did tend to trick me. I pretty much had the vision of an old person with failing eyesight, but I was happy to be alive. Jordan was always there for me, and we found ourselves cuddling, holding hands, etc. When Mika was going to start school, he had been going to preschool all this time. We both woke up very early to get him ready. I was functional and could do everything a person who could see could do. After that, he hugged us both and made a joke as he was leaving, saying that his two dads were flirting with each other. Now, honestly, we had for a bit. He called us his dads, he said. I like it, I said. I brought him close to me and hugged him. I had no idea why. Sometimes I wish it was true, I said. He tilted my chin up and then kissed me for the first time. Who knows why it had taken so long for us to kiss? But now, that was the beginning of our relationship. We had a connection. We had been through hell together. And pretty much as I had a kid now. After the kiss, I confided in him about my feeling insecure and like he deserved better. Better like someone who's not a burden like me, I said. Says the man who cooks a better omelet than me without seeing. I like you very much, Henry. Now that was what it felt like to be happy. Summary. Henry is a young man whose father had just passed away. He has a strained relationship with his brother, Mark, and completely hates his mother who abandoned him years ago. After the death of his father, misfortune follows him. First, he has a falling out with his best friend. Then he gets into an accident that leaves him temporarily blind. His vision gets worse when someone tries to get rid of him, and a criminal investigation brings up an unlikely suspect. His girlfriend Savanah supports him during that time, even going through extreme lengths to get him cured. He meets a stranger who gives him a strange ointment and befriends him. There is a connection, which might be romantic. He must be careful, for the truth about why he was blind will unravel in a very strange way. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and as always, stay wholesome.